Hello friends, I'm Brian, and this is Gizmo Board Games. And today is something special, something I didn't expect to do already, but I got so many games under my belt last year, and I feel pretty confident that I can go ahead and do this. And I figured the timing was great because I am approaching my 1 year anniversary on YouTube, and I figure what better way to round out the year than with my favorite games of all time. And I'm going to do 50 of them. That's a number I feel pretty comfortable with. 50 right now. So this is going to be part one. And this will be in 3 parts, with my final part being the top 10, hopefully with a special guest. Haven't quite got that hankered out yet, but hopefully I have a special guest coming for the final 10. But in the meanwhile, I'll do the first 2 segments in blocks of 20. So this is 50 to 31 if you didn't read it from the icon and the title and everything else that you already knew what you're getting into. Anyway, so let's explain a little bit about what I did. I've got 300 some games played now, ranked on BGG, or at least annotated as played, maybe not ranked. And then from those games, I threw them into Pub Meeple, and that's a little head-to-head engine. It does more than just games, but I only use it for games, where it pits game A versus game B, and you pick which one you like better, and it keeps doing that, keeps doing that, keeps doing that until it kind of ranks a list for you. And so that's what I did. I used that list as kind of my starting point, and then from there, I went ahead and adjusted things a little bit here and there as I felt needed to be adjusted, because it doesn't always pit up everything 1-to-1 throughout the whole game, every matchup, but it does a pretty good job as a solid base point, and then I tweak things a little bit here and there. The second thing I want to mention is here in front of me, and I'll probably do this every time moving forward, is a game that's not appearing on the list for one reason or another. In this case, it's the game right here, Euphoria, Build a Better Dystopia. I'm actually got this set up to start trying to figure out how to play it. I just got this in this week, and I need to find the solo rules because I'll be by myself, so I need to find where to get those to. But I hope to get into this tonight, and maybe this will make the list next year. But none of the games that I'll feature kind of on the table or in the cubby, I think, for today and the next couple of times will be games that will be featured on the list. So as to not, I guess, spoil something. Again, the 10 through 1 won't fall on the normal Sunday. I'll set that one up to come out on the 20th of February, which is exactly 1 year from when I released my first video. So in the meantime, this week and next week, you'll see 50 to 31 and then 30 to 11 before I hopefully have a special guest and we each do our own top 10, and that'll be 20 other games for you. But here I am by myself, so let's get into it, and I'll try not to ramble on too much about everything, as I've already done so far. So that's that, and then I want to do one honorable mention before I get into the big list, because I feel like these are games that are really good, and it is a series of games that I really enjoy, really love, but because of what they are, they're not something I can play again, even though I have. They're the Pandemic Legacies. I've mentioned them before in my Pandemic review. I really enjoy the Legacies. I'm in middle of Legacy Season 0. I played Season 1 and Season 2 twice. Enjoyed both playthroughs with 2 different groups, and it's great, but they're not games you can dig back into really once you've completed them, other than to replay them again and not be as surprised by the things coming as you play. So that's the one honorable mention for the list. Pandemic Legacy games probably would be on the list somewhere. Just filtered them out due to the nature of the way they are, and that's probably true of all Legacy games. I don't think I've really played many others that would have showed up on the list anyway, other than maybe Charterstone. All right, with that all out of the way, hopefully you're ready for this exciting event. I don't know. Top 50 of my favorite games for you for my 1 year YouTube anniversary. So my number 50 is going to be Rumble Nation. It's a game by Hobby Japan. It's a kind of an area control game, and it's got a lot of dice randomness, and I don't mind it because you use the dice randomness kind of to your advantage in the game. but you're going to have a set number of cubes. You're going to roll 3 dice. 2 of those dice you're going to put together to dictate which area of the board, labeled randomly 2 through 12. And then the other dice will tell you how many of your cubes, 1, 2, or 3. So it's kind of a divide by 2 situation that you're going to add to that area. And once all the cubes are out, that's where the real fun begins, because then you're going to start with area 2 and see who has the majority. Whoever has the majority in that area will get the 2 points for that area, because it was area 2. But they'll also get to spread into adjacent areas an additional cube, or maybe it's 2 cubes. I don't remember. It's been a little bit since I played it. But so you can use that to your advantage, that maybe, you're only getting the 2 points now, but if that area is next to other areas that you can score bigger on, and you take the majority there, that could lead to majority in those neighboring zones as well. And I think that's a really neat mechanic, and that's, you're playing for now and looking forward to the future. In addition to that, there are some cards you can kind of buy, and that'll help you manipulate things further as well. It's just a really fun, really fast playing game that does have a lot of thinky to it without being over complex. I think I could introduce it to anybody and get you up and running in just a few minutes. And, 20 minutes later, we'll play a second game where you now know what's going on fully. I really enjoy it. I'm not sure how readily available it is around, but I didn't have too much trouble finding my copy. That is Rumble Nation. My number 49 is a game I have not played in a long time, and I've only played it once, and I'm not even sure I got all the way through, but I enjoyed it enough, and it intrigues me enough, and I guess I just haven't played enough games anyway, that this makes my list, and that is Zolkin, the Mayan calendar. It's a worker placement where you're on the gears, and you're going to either place a worker or take a worker, and you want to time it right, so you're taking the worker at the spot you want to take the worker. So there's a lot more thinking involved than the normal worker placement game because of the timing of the nature of the board and the dials spinning. And I'll try to include some cutouts if I haven't already, for you to check out if you don't already know. But I just really liked the way the game played, and I really like worker placement games. I like, resource generation and engine building games. And Zolkin, the Mayan calendar, seemed to have a little bit of everything, and I really, really want to get my hands on it again, because I played this one early on in my kind of gaming career, moving away from sports gaming, and because that's kind of where I got my start and into the actual tabletop board gaming. And I would love to find somebody who has Zolkin, the Mayan calendar, for me to try again, because I really enjoy it and really, really want to play it again. And it's kind of hanging on in my top 50 for now. It might probably disappear if I can't get it played. My number 48 is a new game, and there's going to be a lot of new games. It's kind of the nature of having not played a whole lot of games through the years and really of picking up over the last year or two. So I apologize in advance for a lot of new games on the list, or I guess new to me, which you don't even know, so whatever. But this is a new game, came out just last year. It's another worker placement, another dice rolling, so a little combo of the two, but definitely more family style. It's Creature Comforts. I really like this game, where you kind of have some information about your abilities with the dice placement, and you're also a little bit of pressing your luck, because some spots you might not be able to play after all, because you're only going to have limited knowledge before everybody puts their declarations of workers out. And then the communal dice pool will be rolled, and then you'll see how much of what you hoped you could do you're actually going to be able to accomplish. And you're trying to gather resources to build these comforts out of the cards in your hand to get points, because you're making the most comfortable habitat for your winter break. I really like Creature Comforts. I think it plays really well. It's got a lot more thinkiness to it from what it looks like on the cover and initial glance, but it's not overly complex that I can't play it with my family. So I think it strikes a nice balance, and it's a really good pickup for me and my family. That's my number 48, Creature Comforts. 47, speaking of good games for the family and easy to get into, Takanoko is a cute little game about bamboo and a panda. A little panda, you're moving around, he's eating bamboo, and you got a gardener trying to water the garden to grow the bamboo for future turns, and you're collecting quest cards basically, And when you eat the right colors of bamboo or grow the right bamboo on the right colors of fields, you're going to be able to score those cards. And when somebody scores enough cards, the game will end and you'll tabulate the scoring. I've played this one in adult groups and family groups, and it's gone over well. It's not going to be the most thinky and most hardcore gamer type game, but for a normal group or your family or whatever, it's a great game to introduce. It's got just enough going on to make it a little thinky and a little bit of randomness, but nothing overly complex that's going to turn people away. Plus, it just looks great when you've got the tiles out and the panda. Everybody kind of sees that, says, "Oh, what's going on over there?" That's my number 47, Takenoko. My number 46 is a game I have not played in a while again, although I do own this one, and it's on my I need to get it on the table again list. I played it a little bit on the app. I don't like it as much on the app. I don't like anything. I mentioned this in one of my other videos. I don't like too much digital. If I'm playing a board game, I like to have my hands on and playing. But my number 46 is Alhambra, and this is a kind of tile drafting or card drafting, tile buying. You're building out your tableau, your Alhambra. You're going to score points from the walls. You're going to score points for having the majority of the different colors. And depending on how rare those colors are, the more points they're going to be worth for you. And it's just a lot of fun, a lot of thinky, but it's not hard to teach. You're either going to get cards, which are basically your cash to spend, or you're going to spin those cards and take a tile of the matching color and place it into your Alhambra, abiding by the rules of adjacency. Basically, it has to be directly next to another tile, but it can't match a wall to a non-wall and vice versa. So I really like to play Alhambra. I haven't played it in a while. I need to get on the table again because then I could kind of explain it better. But it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of think, but it's not hard to teach and learn. But it is hard to kind of master, I think. Not as hard as some of the other games coming up. All these games kind of on this low end of my list are definitely going to be lighter style because I tend to trend towards the more heavier games overall. My number 45 is Discordia. This is a game I just reviewed not too long ago. I might stick the link to it there. I might not. I haven't decided yet. But Discordia is a worker placement-esque game where you're in a die drafting game, I guess, too, where you're going to draft a die, which dictates what your actions are going to be. And your whole goal is to get all your workers who are looking for work onto tiles on your board, which employs them. And then once you employ a full tile's worth of people, those people are going to go away, and that tile will become available for the next round. They come in 4 different colors. And the whole goal of the game is to clear out your workers, or if that doesn't happen, whoever cleared out the most of them at the end of the 4th round wins. I've played this one mostly solo, and I'm not sure it's 100% great at solo. You check out my review for my full thoughts. But I've also played this with 2 and thought it was really fun, and that's actually the closest I got to actually clearing all the workers out. So maybe I'm just bad at the strategy. I don't know, but I've enjoyed playing it. Regardless, in any way, shape, or form, has not bothered me that I haven't been able to officially achieve the objective of the game. It's a lot of fun to try. It's really tight because you're only going to get, I think, 20 actions through the course of the game. And so you really got to make them count. And you're also benefiting from dice rolls. So the better you build your tableau, the more you can double dip into some actions. And it's a lot of fun. It's a new game, and the box, I'm really happy with this skinny box. It doesn't need to be any bigger than it is. They found a way to make it work, and I've really enjoyed playing Discordia. That's my number 45. My number 44 is my first cooperative game on the list, and there will be more, I'm sure, as we go on. But this is one of my favorite cooperative games. It is Horrified. This is a kind of pick up and deliver and avoid the bad guys, which are the classic movie monsters. I really like just the tightness of the game. You can play it super easy mode like I do with my kids, or you can play it really complex by adding, 3, 4, maybe even 5, I think, different monsters, and really challenge yourself. I've played this one in groups. I played it solo, and everybody's enjoyed it, and we've always had a good time. And it's been tight, even if it has seemed kind of easy for the most part. Obviously, we can make that harder when we feel that way. And I have made it harder for myself, and I definitely lost. So that's Horrified, my number 44. Number 43 is Shadows over Camelot. This is a semi-co-op game where you're going around and you're trying to complete 7, I think it is, different quests around the board to get white swords, because you're the white knights, to come back. But if you fail quests, then the dark swords are coming back. And the reason why this is semi-cooperative, because there's a chance that one of your knights at the table is a traitor and trying to make you fail without getting caught. And I've mentioned this in a previous video a while ago, that I really like the reality show The Mole, which is kind of the same concept, but in a reality show where contestants are trying to accomplish missions, but one person amongst them is trying to thwart the mission without getting caught. And so this brings that kind of game to my table, along with another one that's like that I own, Dead of Winter. But the theme of Shadows over Camelot I like better than the zombie theme, and it seems slightly easier, so you feel like you have a chance to win every time, unless you get thwarted. And so that's a lot of fun. It's a lot more fun when everybody has a chance. I like the theme. I like the medieval theme way better than the zombie theme for the most part, and I really like Shadows over Camelot. Plus, you can always make the Monty Python quotes while you're playing it, if you're one of those types like I am. So, Shadows over Camelot, it's only a model. Number 42, this is a game that surprises me that it keeps staying on my list despite being a game I don't really like. I can't say it's not a good game, and it's good enough that I want to play it. Even though I don't really care for it, every time I do play it, I'm not turned away from playing it like other games. And so that's kind of why it is hovering on my list here in the 42 slot. It's Space Base, and it's just such a good interactive kind of engine builder game where it's almost all luck based, and there's a little bit to get around the luck, but in the end it comes down to just how the dice are rolling, and they never seem to roll into what I need. And so I really struggle at playing this game. Well, I shouldn't say I struggle playing it. Playing's easy. I struggle at winning it, and I don't know. I'm just not good at it, even though it's mostly random. But I really like playing it, and it's interactive because in everybody's turn you're engaged, and you're always looking forward to what they're going to roll and how can it help me, because the more I'm able to generate resources on other people's turns, the better my turn's going to be when it comes back around to me, and then hopefully I have a better shot at winning, even though I never win. But I really like it. I think it's a great interactive game. When you want to have 6 players, I think it plays 6, maybe 5 people around the table, all caring about what's going on all the time and working on their own little engines that are similar but different. It's a lot of fun. I really like Space Base, even though I also kind of don't, just because of the way that the game is. 41, another new on this list, or I should say new game that's on the list. Came out last year. Is a well-received game last year and it's performing high on a lot of lists, especially amongst the casual gamer. And it's probably because it looks good, it plays good, and it's very welcoming. And that's Cascadia, a game where you're just drafting a tile and drafting an animal and building out your tableau with the animals on it to score points for each of the 5 different animals the way that they want to be scored for that game, because there's 4 or 5 different cards for each animal that you can pull out from game to game. It plays really easy, but there's a lot of thinking involved in it, and it looks good. It's fun. It's easy to introduce. I kind of swayed on it a little bit since I first got it, first played it. It's not quite as heavy as I'd like to keep me going back, but for a quick filler game, that's it's kind of a comfort game, I guess, and it's a great introductory game for trying to move people up to the next level of gaming. And that's why I can't fault it at all. I really do like Cascadia. It's just not as much as when I first got it. So if I had done this list, last summer, probably been a lot higher. But I found a bunch of other games since then that I've liked more. Plus, I played it quite a bit, so it's kind of just waning. And that's a sign of a good game, is the fact that I have played it quite a bit to get to the point where, like, not as fun as it initially was, but it's still a great game that if you haven't already checked out Cascadia, you should. That gets us halfway through the list for today. So my number 40, moving on, is a game that really kind of surprised me, although I don't know why. I guess I just didn't know what to expect out of it, other than it was a roll and write style game. It's a flip and write. And I never really got into those until later in the summer. So once I got into the roll and writes, I decided to check this out after hearing good things. And my number 40 is going to be Welcome to the Moon. It's a flip and writes where you've got 8 different boards you could be playing on. It's got a campaign mode built right into it. So I haven't even really got into that. I'm still playing through kind of the learn how to play the campaign part of the game. And this game's, I think, meant to be played with multiple players, but I have no problem playing this with solo. I rather enjoy it kind of solo instead of having to worry about teaching it to other people. I might sometime, but as far as the campaign goes, I'm probably just going to play through that one solo and be happy with it that way. But yeah, Welcome to the Moon is great. You've got numbers that got to be played in the right order, and then abilities you can use to kind of help change your game state a little bit and meet the goals that you're trying to meet in order to get the points to win. And I really like Welcome to the Moon. I think it's such a good, quick and easy game with just a lot packed into the box that I haven't even approached yet. So I'm really looking forward to digging into this one more. My number 40 game, Welcome to the Moon. My number 39 is a game I think will rise once I actually dig into it more. I played it once and I felt like it was good and there was a lot of potential there, but also there's some things that didn't quite rub me right, and it wasn't the same thing that everybody else feels rubs them wrong, and that's the tower. And this is Marrakesh, my number 39. I don't have a problem with the cube tower. I know it takes a lot of flack around other content creators and reviewers and whatever. I didn't have a problem with the tower. I had a problem is I'm not sure if there's a couple routes that are stronger than the rest, because the two people who scored well in our game of 4 or 5 like really pulled away, like strongly pulled away, and it was obvious that like the rest of us had no shot at catching back up. And I'm not sure if it's because of the things they focused on or if that was just random luck, but the things they focused on seemed stronger than the things the rest of us were focusing on, and that concerns me. But if that turns out to not be the case with multiple plays and there are different viable paths, I could see Marrakesh really rising up, because it's a great game with just a lot of different variabilities and different ways to focus and different ways to score points. It really is a feld point salad, and it's unique in how it plays, and your actions are limited by the color that you're choosing for each round. You only really get one wild. Other than that, everybody's going to do the same 10 different things, I think 11 different things, and then you're going to get one thing you're going to be able to repeat on with the one wild, Keshi, as it's called, the cubes in the game. And that's neat. And what you put in might not even be what you pull out, depending on what you're actually trying to focus on. So it's a great interactive game with a lot of variability, a lot of replayability. I think as long as there doesn't seem to be one or two runaway paths to victory. So that's my only kind of hiccup with it. Once I play it more, I think it could rise as long as it doesn't fall. But Marrakesh could be a really good game. Right now, it's good enough to be my number 39. My number 38 is a worker placement game that's been around the block and gets a lot of praise. I've played it a few times since I got it, and it's a good introductory plus style game. I played it with people who've played other games with me, and I played it with my mom, who's still kind of learning to try to play games at my level. and she picked it up pretty quickly too. It's going to be Raiders of the North Sea from Garfield Games. And the thing I like about this game is it's worker placement, resource generation, but it's also got a little bit of the battling to it too, and a little bit of tableau building as you're putting out your Vikings that you're going to use and maybe even see get killed off in the battles. But it's such a simple game to teach because on your turn you're always going to play one worker and return one worker, and you're going to get the actions related to both the play and the return. So you're always going to have kind of two actions going on, except for like during the fight phase where you're just going to do the fight phase and then come back with goods and a new worker. But it's easy for people to pick up, even though there's a lot of iconography and a lot going on. It's not as complex as it looks, and so once you get a round or two under your belt, it just flows, and it's a really great tight worker placement game that I've really enjoyed playing. I played it solo with the app. I wish I could find a way to get my hands on the solo game, but the only way I found it is in French, and I don't know French, and I don't know if it matters, but I'd rather get the English version just in case it does matter a little bit. Until then, I'll just keep playing on the app. But or playing with other people would be even more ideal. So maybe I'll pull that one out on my next game day, because it's been a while since I got it out in front of other people, or got it out in general, I guess I should say. But anyway, 38, Raiders of the North Sea. All right, in that vein, my number 37 is one of the oldie original OGs, I guess, worker placement. So I guess we're in the worker placement section of my list for the moment. Lords of Waterdeep. This one is, I'm not even sure if it's easier than the Raiders of the North Sea. I don't think it is, actually, but it's still pretty easy to get to the table, and there's a lot of options going on, and the theme is pretty cool. I never really was a D&Der, but I can see introducing this to D&D fans and bringing them in, because it's got that IP, the intellectual property from D&D, that I know nothing about. I've also got the 2 expansions, which I've kind of introduced from time to time, just to add a little bit of new variety. It depends on whether I think the group can handle it or not, and how familiar they are with things. But they've been fun. Lords of Waterdeep, worker placement, and you also have the ability to buy new worker spots that you can put out on the board, and then you get benefits when other players go to those spots. I think that's cool. And in the end, you're just gathering 4 different colors of cubes to complete quests. The cubes are the dungeoners, if you will, that you're sending out to the quests, and they're coming back with the goods after they're done. And you're trying to just get the most amount of points. And there's a little bit of interactivity with some of the I forget what they're called, but the cards in the game where you can force quests upon people, or just do other things to help or hinder yourself or other players. And it's a nice little game to really bring people into the hobby. And Lords of Waterdeep has been around for a while. My number 36 is a game I really need to play again because I want to move on. So I guess I lied earlier when I said there's no legacy games, but this one I know you can replay over and over again after you complete it with relative ease. This is Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle. Me and my daughter have been playing through. I think we're through the first 3 or 4 sections, whatever they're, each one is kind of related to the movie. And we've been playing through it, and it's a deck builder game. You're trying to defeat the evils from the Harry Potter universe, all the bad guys that you're familiar with, and you're using all the heroes and the wizards you're used to using, and going to the different locations from each of the movies to do those things. And so it's been a lot of fun. It's a little challenging at times. I think the last time we played it, we barely scraped by. And the one thing that concerns me is there's not really any deck mitigation. So every time you play it, and like I said, we're still kind of early on the campaigns. I think this could get worse or make the game harder later. But we're always starting out with the same base cards. I don't see any way that we're adding some of those stronger cards to our deck earlier in the game. So we might start really struggling with the later battles, I guess. I think I've heard this complaint from someone else that I watched once. So I'm a little concerned about that moving forward, but I do want to continue playing it. I want to play through it with my daughter. She really likes Harry Potter. So looking forward to trying to finish that and then decide if we want to keep playing through it once we've unlocked everything, or go ahead and let somebody else enjoy the game after we're done. Either way, I want to try to get that going some more if I can talk her into it. She's kind of been shying away from gaming lately. But that's Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle, my number 36. My number 35 is a game that is cooperative trick taking, and it's The Crew. I own the Quest for Planet 9. I'm sure the other one's just as good, if not better, from what I've heard. I haven't played it. So my list officially is The Crew, Quest for Planet 9, but I could see it being either of the crews. They're pretty much the same game from what I understand. In this game, you're playing tricks like any normal trick taking game, hearts, euchre, spades, whatever the like, which I grew up playing those games. But you also have certain quests or things each player is going to have to fulfill. So, like, if I have the card that says I need the 4 that is green, then I have to win a trick that has the green 4 in it. And without talking, your team has to find a way to get you that 4. So, unlike the normal trick taking game where it's usually partner against partners, and you're trying to get more tricks than them, in this game, you're trying to complete the required tricks for each person. And when you do that, you advance to the next. I think there's 50 total quests in the game. Like, I read through them a little bit. They don't matter. In the end, you're just slowly making it harder and harder from hand to hand, or from, you might have to replay hands, but from round to round until you've done all 50 of the quests. And then I'm sure it's got infinite replayability anyway, because at any time you can go to any quest or start over or whatever and play again. I really like trick taking games, and I really like The Crew, The Quest for Planet 9, my number 35. Number 34 is It's a Wonderful Kingdom. This is a 2-player I split you choose game where there are calamities also, so you could end up with bad cards in your hand. And so once you get through the I split you choose, then it becomes an engine building game where you're generating resources to build engine to help you generate resources for future turns. And it's only through 4 rounds, so it plays pretty fast. And you're just trying to end up with the most points based on the cards or the buildings you've built in your kingdom and how they're going to score or generate resources for you. I really like it. I like engine builders. I like deck building, which this kind of is that too, because your deck is kind of your engine, even though you never really have the cards in your hand. They're always pretty much play the tableau. You're going to get the resources and use the resources to generate resources, just like any normal engine builder, with a little bit of the I split you choose mechanic for the 2-player head-to-head game. I've not played It's a Wonderful World, which came first. Maybe I would probably like that one. I'm sure I would, because I would play with the more players. But I really like this one. It has a really good solo mode with kind of a campaign or challenges, I guess, written into it. So I've checked out a couple of those, and otherwise just playing it straight up. It's fun, not as fun as the 2-player game, and that's why it's kind of fallen down, because I used to really think highly of this game when I first got it and was playing it a lot. And I've kind of played it out solo. I found other games I like better for solo, and I just can't get this one to the table the way it's intended to be at 2 players. But it's still really good. I can't wait to get a chance to play it again at 2 players like it's intended to be. It's a Wonderful Kingdom. Speaking of 2-player games, I guess I hit that part of my list now. Star Wars Rebellion is a great 2-player game. As someone who grew up with Star Wars Rebellion is Star Wars in a box, no doubt. It's a great game. I played it a couple times, and only a couple times, because each playthrough was 3 or 4 hours, I think. But it never felt that long. We were always engaged, always having fun, either as the Rebels or as the Empire. We each played as both, trying to, the Rebels are just trying to keep away from the Empire long enough to win the game and get enough points, while the Empire's, their only job is to go find the Rebel base and destroy the Rebels. And you're sending out, the various leaders from the movies, going to the plans from the movies, doing quests or battles or space battles and land battles. A lot of fun. It's just I like the fact that, like, you are playing the movie, but you're not, because you can have different character beats or things happen where maybe Luke Skywalker is captured and turned to the dark side, or Han and I don't even know, Admiral Akbar. I don't even remember if he's one of the leaders in the game, but it's not Han and Chewie. It's Han and, Akbar going out and doing the mission together while Chewie's off doing something else. Really, it's just really fun. It is Star Wars in a box. If you have a love of Star Wars like I do and a chance to play with one other player who also likes Star Wars, I think you'll really enjoy Star Wars Rebellion. I can't wait to get to the table again. I don't know when that'll be because it's just so much. Like I said, I already have a problem getting just one other player here, but having another player here willing to play Star Wars for 4 or 5 hours, that's asking a lot. But I'm ready for that challenge again whenever it happens. My number 32 is a game that I've been playing a lot recently. In fact, I don't think it would have been on my list if I didn't start digging into it again in January. But as I've dug into it, I've really started to enjoy it. I really like the tight space of it. It's another one of those games where you're only getting, I think, 12 actions in the whole game, and you're building up a polyomino area, and you're generating resources that you're going to use to complete quest cards in a way. It's a game not many people know about. It's The Magnificent. Really, really have liked this game a lot. I really like the decision space. The solo mode in it is a beat your own score, but I've actually played it so much that I've started trying to develop my own solo mode that I'm kind of tweaking, see how I feel about the way it plays, and just to try to get a little more interaction and a little more of a chase a score as opposed to just chase my own score because the threshold they set seems almost impossible. But it's been a lot of fun. I really like what it has to offer. It's a game that I wouldn't even heard about if it wasn't for Allie at the Family Meeple mentioning it in one of the Discord groups. So shout out to Allie at the Family Meeple, who I did a collaboration video with too. I might link it, I might not. But yep, she pointed out that she really likes this game, and I found it for a really, really good price. So I had to pull the trigger on it, and I'm super glad I did. This game has just been more and more fun, and I've not even played it with another person yet. Just playing the solo mode and trying to do better and better each time with the very, very limited action space has been just a fun little puzzle that I've enjoyed playing. The Magnificent. And finishing the list kind of where we started it today. My number 31 is, I'm not sure because I can't see my whole list in front of me right now. But this might be my highest rated co-op game. It might not. I don't remember. But this is definitely my first favorite and still holding steady long term. In fact, this isn't my highest rated now I think about it. This isn't even my favorite in the series, but this is the original. This is the one. This is Pandemic, the game that kind of introduced me to the hobby, and I've kind of grown past the base Pandemic a little bit with the various other pandemics that have been thrown out in the years. But I really, really love Pandemic, and I appreciate what it does for the hobby. It's brought me into it. It makes it easy for me to bring other people into the hobby. I'm just overjoyed with Pandemic. I've got it on my phone. I play it there more than the box. I could probably get rid of the base box at this point. Because I'm okay with playing the app or just one of the other offshoots of Pandemic. Like I said, I've been playing through the Legacy Season 0 recently. I played through the other ones already. But Pandemic is just, it's a joy. It's a great game, great for the hobby. It's a lot of fun. Was definitely number one on my list for a long time, back before I even thought about my favorite games lists, etc. And definitely before I started making content about board gaming and really digging into board gaming content. But it's the one that helped get me digging into it. In fact, the first purchase I went out of my way to get was the season 2 back at Essen. Me and my buddy made a point to make a trip to go get that when it got released because we're here in Germany, and I did not what am I trying to talk for? Did not disappoint. That's what I'm looking for. I've loved Pandemic from day one, and it's a game that's probably still going to remain somewhere in my top 50. Definitely some version of it, if not the base game. And you'll probably see another version of Pandemic show up later if you want to stick around. So that's my 50s through 31. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, give me a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button below if you haven't already subscribed, because I'll be coming at you next week with my 30 to 11, the next 20. Counting down to my top 10 on the 28th of February is the planned release in celebration of my 1 year anniversary on YouTube. I appreciate you being here. If you've been here from the beginning, well, I know you personally because I told you, hey, I made a YouTube video or two and you should subscribe. But I thank you for sticking around. And those of you who have been here since close to the beginning, I really appreciate you sticking around as well. And I hope you have liked what you've seen so far, and I hope to keep offering content along the way that you continue to enjoy. Comment below what you thought about these 20 games and any that stood out to you, either good or bad, one way or the other, about how high or low you think they are on my list. And I hope to see you again for the next 30 as we drive on into March. Thanks for watching. Bye.